The first step for creating our Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flowers is to look at one of the photos and then be inspired by the lines and the shapes we see in that photo as we draw onto our watercolor paper. I want you to notice I said the word inspired, I did not say copy. Your goal is to not create an exact same version of this flower on this paper. That's kind of impossible, right? So instead, your shapes and your lines are gonna look a little bit different. You don't need to stress out if your design doesn't look exactly the same as the flower that you're looking at. I'm gonna start in the middle. Sometimes that's the easiest place to start. You could also start from the outside going in. So you just kind of decide based on your design how you want to do that. And I'm noticing the shapes that I see, I'm noticing the lines that I see, and I'm not worrying so much about getting them exactly right. Instead, I'm just focused on kind of drawing lines and shapes that are similar to what I'm seeing in the photo. Especially when you get to these like curly, kind of wavy lines, you don't need to stress about getting those exactly the same on your paper. If you just kind of get the feel for it, that will be enough. When I'm drawing from observation, my eyes are constantly bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm gonna see that there's a curvy line here going to the page, and then I'm gonna draw that curvy line going to the top of the page. And then I'm gonna look over here for the next line that I wanna draw, and I'm gonna see this curvy line going to that side, and then I'll find that spot and draw that same curvy line. Then I see another curvy line going up, and then I'm gonna draw that curvy line going up. The point is that your brain cannot hold in all of the information for this drawing at one time. Instead, it can only do one line at a time. So I'm only gonna worry about drawing one line at a time. When you are finished drawing all of your lines, you're gonna take your Sharpie and you're gonna very carefully trace over those lines. Don't rush this step because the Sharpie is permanent. If you accidentally make a mistake, you're gonna have to embrace that mistake by turning the line into something else. You're not gonna be able to erase the Sharpie off of your paper, and you're not gonna be able to just get a new paper either. So the slower you work, the easier it'll be. Another good trick is to turn your paper as you trace. So instead of me trying to turn my hand into this impossible direction to try and draw these lines, I would just turn my paper, keep my hand comfortable, and that's gonna help me trace with more accuracy. Once you're finished tracing all of your lines with Sharpie, you are ready to start coloring in your flower with the watercolor pastels. These pastels are super special because unlike normal pastels, they're water soluble, which means that when you paint over it with water, that pastel will turn into paint. So we're gonna start by just coloring in the spaces, whatever color we want. You can choose colors that would be realistic for flowers. You could choose colors that would not be realistic for flowers. It is your choice. However you want to color it in is up to you. You can also choose to color in by pressing down hard, like I'm doing now, or you can color it by pressing down lightly. Either way will work. When you paint over it, this will be a brighter color and this will be a lighter color. So it's just creating different values. Pressing down hard creates a dark value, and pressing down light creates a lighter value. One of the cool things about pastels is that you can blend colors together. I'm going to show you how that works. So I could use the yellow on top of the orange that I just colored, and as I color it in, pressing down hard, it's kind of mixing the yellow and the orange together, and I'm getting a really nice yellow orange. Blending is going to be one of the things that gives your artwork more detail. It's going to make it more interesting to look at. You don't have to use blending in every space on your artwork, but if you choose a couple of places to use it, it's going to turn out really nice. I can also blend by pressing down lightly. So if I wanted to do the rest of it by pressing down lightly, I can just use the same color, blend over the orange still, but I'm getting a lighter shade instead of a darker shade. One of the things that you want to think about while you're coloring is you want to think about where you're putting your hand. If I put my hand right here while I'm coloring on this side, I'm going to be smearing my artwork. It's going to get all over my hand, and it's also going to blend the colors around in a way that I might not be happy with. So I would suggest either always putting your hand on a part of your artwork that hasn't been colored yet. So that might mean you need to rotate your paper so that you can always keep your hand in a safe place. Or if you can't do that, kind of hold your hand up. You can even use your other hand to support your arm. And then that way you're not worried about smearing your artwork accidentally.